Hey, it's your girl. I'm back. I have been absent from the YouTube scene for about oh my goodness, almost half a year, actually probably more than that. But I'm back here with a new video. Happy New Year to you all. And I just want to start this video off by saying I'm making a new one because of something I've achieved that not many people have achieved. I have watched every single Marvel MCU movie, and that's an accomplishment. And I think anyone who's in that should be proud of themselves because I just finished watching, out of order, of course, because that's just how I am. I just finished watching Iron Man 3, and that was the last of the 27 movies so far that I've been able to watch. And so I wanted to have an idea. Well, I have an idea today for a video, which is to rate, not rate. I don't like doing ratings. Like, I don't like doing out of 5 stars this. No. I wanted to go ahead and basically give you my take on what I thought of every single Marvel movie so far, all the way up to No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, because that one came out in December, uh, December 16th, 17th. I watched it on the 17th, so I think it came out 16th. I have the ticket right here if you all want to see. Okay, okay, ow. Okay, this is for Shang-Chi. That's different. All right. Um, you know what? I don't see it right now, but I'll get back to you with that. Anyway, that's the most recent movie that came out, and although it is owned by Sony, it's still an MCU movie, and so I'm going to count all the Spider-Man movies as well. I will not be covering the Blade movies, the X-Men movies. I'm strictly covering the 2008 Iron Man movies all the way to the 2021 Spider-Man No Way Home movie. So just the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, just those movies that fit into the timeline of the universe, because I think it's interesting since the multiverse and Doctor Strange and the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, it's a whole title. I think it's interesting that, it's the multiverse is expanding in a lot of ways, and it's just timelines are shifting, and there's new versions. Like there's a Gamora that is like from 2014, and she never saw what was going on for like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then you have like what's it called, a Nebula who died, and now there's another Nebula from the future, and then you also have what's it called, a different Loki from 2012 from the Avengers instead of a Loki from who died from Endgame, because he died in Endgame, but no, it doesn't end. The timeline doesn't end there. So it's just kind of. And if you watched Loki, the TV show, I'll be covering some TV shows too. Well, actually, I won't be covering TV shows. I've watched WandaVision. I've watched Loki. I'm going to start Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm going to start Hawkeye. So I'll do a separate video on the TV shows actually. But I wanted to just go ahead and cover the movies, and so let's just get right into it with the first one that kicked it all off, Iron Man. So here I have just the movie. My screen is different, so I don't want to have like camera here, you know, website here, and I'm toggling between. I just have the name of the movie, the year it came out. I'll already know the year it came out, and just that's pretty much it. And so this movie is basically the way it started is with Iron Man being attacked in a Humvee in Afghanistan, I believe it was. And basically, it talks about his journey to become Iron Man and how he basically this rich billionaire kind of became humbled in a way from this terrorist attack and this being, this hostage for so long. And he becomes the one who develops Iron Man and becomes the one to don the suit. And his villain in this movie, because I always think about villains, his villain actually is the person who used to be the not the owner, but like the person in charge, the CEO, I guess, of Stark Industries. So when his father passed, he was still too young, Tony Stark. So the one who helmed the business, the industry actually, was this guy. I don't know his name. I'm sorry. There's so many villains in the MCU, but he was the guy who um was in charge and running it. And then after that, after Iron Man, after Tony Stark came of age and whatnot, he became the one to take over. and there's some kind of, I guess, tension between them. I feel like you can kind of see that if you watch the movie. I would say the villain has some jealousy towards Iron Man. Sorry, towards Tony Stark. I don't want to use those two interchangeably because Iron Man and Tony Stark are like two different things. But he has some kind of like jealousy, and he does not like the decisions that Tony makes. For example, when he comes back from Afghanistan, he tells the crowd, the reporters, that okay, Stark Industries will no longer be producing weapons of mass destruction. And I found that to be very like, wow, he's gonna actually say that? And of course, everyone was like shocked. And this guy, the villain, is like, uh, heck no, you're not. No, that's just Tony is so funny, isn't he? He just always, of course not. So he doesn't agree with him on decisions regarding the Stark Industries, and there's a rift, and eventually it culminates in this huge battle where they actually have the villain actually creates or recreates the Iron Man suit. He goes to Afghanistan, gets the pieces that Tony left because his suit kind of like exploded in a way. Not exploded, but he fell into the desert, and so he kind of like went. He kind of like, what is it? He fell into the desert, and then the pieces came out, so he just left them, and that's when Rhodey and the helicopters came for him. But this guy found the pieces, put them together. Well, not him himself. Another some people working for him, and he developed another Iron Man suit. And so in the last end of the movie, in the end of the movie, they had this big battle, and it culminates obviously in Iron Man's winning. And I don't want to go too into detail because this is gonna be a long video if I do that. But that's what happens. I found as soon as this movie started, this is a huge, very like, what's the word? Direct statement about, not direct statement, direct reference to like the fears of terrorism and the fears of the Middle East and the potential attacks, and because we had 9/11. This movie happened like 7 years after 9/11, probably 6 years from production, and so it's definitely talking about the real world. Um, that was weird. So I'm definitely talking about like how, okay, this is a superhero, but he's a modern superhero because he isn't fighting like, I don't know, he isn't fighting aliens, he isn't fighting like bad scientists. No, he's actually fighting terrorists and stuff like that. And he's living in this modern age. And so I think it kind of already, as Marvel's first movie, it already sets Marvel on this different path. Like, we're going right into controversy, we're going right into the modern age. This is a superhero for all our time. This Iron Man is a superhero who is like any of us, and he's going through the same fears we have going through. And I just found that really interesting because it really takes a huge modern perspective on things, which I found really interesting. And it's just nice to also know that Tony is this kind of arrogant, kind of, maybe not as arrogant as Thor, but this arrogant, kind of rich playboy. He's this billionaire. And then he becomes humbled enough by being held hostage, with also this other guy that he eventually is referenced to in Iron Man 3, this kind of like engineer scientist guy. They work together in the Iron Man suit. And so I just feel like that whole story, that backstory, is like really important. And it's not filler at all. It's really important to know, like, okay, this is what happened. This is how Iron Man became Iron Man, and in a way it took him going through suffering and pain to get to the point where he's actually a hero. And that's incredibly powerful and a good testament to like how life is in general. Let's move on. This computer hates me. Okay, next one. Iron Man 2. Okay, so this one I just watched the other day, and let's just say it is a long story, but it's really good. And actually, I think it has a lot of great content in it. The character that Sam Rockwell plays is good. He's cunning. He's smart. He's tactical. And I think it's really interesting to see just how, I don't know, like Stark Industries versus Hammer Industries. That was kind of a cool addition. I never knew that they had a competitor. Maybe they really don't have a competitor, a serious, really competitor, but nonetheless, he's there, and he has friends in the government. So I thought it was kind of interesting. And also when Rhodey and Tony Stark went to the court, I always find these references, and I kind of found like this cool like kind of like criticism of like the government and how they may side with companies or with people who they're friends with and they're working with and collaborating with, and then they make up stuff. They try to incriminate people who aren't doing wrong thing like they did with Iron Man. They try to say, "Oh, this is happening. You should be concerned. Isn't this your fault because of the Iron Man suit?" And I thought it was cool how they did that. Because I think it's Gary Sheedling who does that kind of senator role that I think some people can look at as an actual. I mean, this was actually might be how the actual senators could actually act like, like for real. Like it didn't seem far from the truth. We saw Whiplash. Mickey Rourke. I was like, wow, he looks different, but he does. But I think I'm not Russian, obviously, but his accent is pretty good for Russian. Uh, is pretty good, and I think he did a good job. I was a little disappointed in the ending with the battle between Rhodey, Iron Man, and Whiplash because it was so. I feel like the story was so long that the next 20 minutes, the last 20 minutes of like intense battle where all the robots come out, they all come out and they converge and they, woof, all the people, the Marine, Navy, I mean, those robots, those Iron Man, I guess, Iron Men. I found that to be okay. That was okay, but it kind of felt rushed at some point, especially with Whiplash. When Whiplash came out, it felt like they tried to rush. I don't know why, but as soon as it went from Whiplash and then it went to okay, Iron Man, it was with Pepper again, and okay, they're all done, and then Iron Man is okay, let's end the movie. I was like, what? Like give me some time to process this. This is just going too fast. That's the only criticism I would say I have of the movie. But Mickey Rourke did a good job. He played a believable villain too. So actually, I really enjoyed. I like villains that have depth. You know what I mean? I think Marvel does a good job in that regard. You could see he was very passionate about avenging his father, avenging his father's treatment. He wasn't treated like he was actually he should have been because he helped with Stark and Industries and Howard Stark. And the whole Stark Expo thing, I don't know how they did it, but it was amazing. By the way, I was like, I want to go to that Stark Expo. Like, damn, like Stark Expo looks lit. I just want to like go there right now. That was some. I don't know how they did that. I mean, I don't understand how they did all that stuff. But let me tell you, if Queens looked like that half of the time, I'd go there more often. And speaking of Russians, like Mickey Rourke's character, Black Widow is there. She has no accent, which I'm still confused about. Apparently, Wanda's accent and Black Widow's accent, uh, Wanda and Natasha's accents disappeared because they tried to become American, not become American, but try to, disguise themselves, and they were trying to spies and whatnot. I don't know how the same can be true for both of them, which is kind of weird. But they're both Russian redheads with last names ending in off, Maximoff, Romanov. I find that interesting. But hey, Black Widow is there. She kicks ass, takes butt, takes 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 butt. Like Mantis said, take names, kick butts, take butts, kick names. But no, this is really cool to see her and her own kind of just in her own individual way. Like it's really cool to see her, and Scarlett Johansson really pulls off the whole Black Widow edginess and the cool. And I was surprised that she was kind of this assistant to Pepper that was kind of like in the background until eventually Nick Fury introduces her and she's like, hey, this is actually an agent. So I thought that was, obviously I knew who she was, but I thought it was interesting how they did that. Um, I thought it was interesting just like she can blend in so well and they kind of work together. And then when she started taking action, when she started the action and, kicking people and doing stunts, I was like, okay, there we go. This is really cool. And then what was the next thing I wanted to say? Um, oh, Rhodey also was introduced in Iron Man first Iron Man. Terrence Howard played him. Apparently there was some disagreement between Marvel and Terrence Howard, so he was replaced by Don Cheadle. But Terrence Howard never became Rhodey. Like he never became like War Machine. He was Rhodey, but was War Machine. I just realized that because he was like at one point he was like next time when he saw the War Machine suit, and then next time it's Don Cheadle. So okay. Anyway, Don Cheadle did a great job as War Machine, and I found it really cool. How he became War Machine was kind of, I mean, iffy to me. Like he stole the suit and he took it to the military, and then that's how Hammer got it and turned a bunch of suits into Army, Navy. That was a weird explanation as to what was going on, but it's not as bad as not as bad, but it's not as weird as Iron Patriot in Iron Man 3. Let's move on to the next one, Thor. Oh, I found Thor really interesting. I liked how he started as arrogant person, and it kind of reminds me of like Little Mermaid. Like obviously Ariel wasn't arrogant, but she was pushed out of her home from the evil lady Ursula, and she then meets the love of her life, and she goes back to the water, and she comes back to the land. She goes back and forth, but then she eventually stays in the land. And I don't know, I find it similar to like Thor because Thor is like a god, and his father exiles him into Earth, and Earth is where he like does his hero stuff and where he meets Jane Foster, and he helps obviously with Darcy and Eric, and I found that really interesting to see that you know I mean it's kind of like the same story, you know what I mean, in a way, but obviously he gets help and from his friends and who are like these Norse kind of like Viking characters that I mean they obviously are Norse Vikings, aren't they? Um, these guys look like they came out of a Renaissance fair. But his friends come. They don't do that much honestly for him, but they're there and he gets help. But I think it's also nice how the movie Thor tries to get his hammer, and we do see a glimpse of Clint Barton, although it's never told who this is or what is he doing or why. It's the first thing we see of Hawkeye though, so it's a kind of like wink wink to Avengers coming up in 2012. But I found the whole thing with Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. I don't know how to say it. I found that sorry. I found that interesting because he thinks he's so worthy of the hammer, and then when he tries to actually go get it in the tent, he's not able to do it, and it takes time and it takes knowing he can. It takes him being without the hammer actually. And listen, in different Thor movies, Thor can do better without his hammer. Like we saw that a couple times. In Ragnarok, he didn't have his hammer. He didn't get his hammer in Infinity War because it was destroyed, and so eventually he had to get it from Aerith, not the hammer, but the Stormbreaker. So it's like he is stronger, and he learns his strength when he's actually away from his hammer, because it shows that he's actually okay. He's not worthy yet. He's not able to do it yet. He still has to learn. He still has to be patient, and so he has to kind of like wait. And so once he gets the hammer, then he knows he's actually like worthy of it. And I just feel like it's interesting to see, almost like how Iron Man had become humbled in Afghanistan to become Iron Man, for us to become humbled without his hammer, to actually save the world and to protect others. And obviously, Asgard is what he protects most. So I found that really interesting, and um, that's just a really good testament to like the character story and the character development that comes over time. I'm trying to remember who the villain of the movie is, and I think it's Loki, and I think he did a good job. It wasn't even that direct, to be honest. I feel like it wasn't like Loki is the worst and he's awful and he's terrible. It's like no, he's Thor's brother, so you think, oh, he's fine. But later on, we learn scheming, he's mischievous, he's a god of mischief, so god of mischief against god of thunder. I mean, sparks will fly, literally. And so we see this kind of interesting dynamic between brother and brother. And I think Loki did a good job. Tom Hiddleston obviously did a good job as Loki, and my favorite power of Loki is him being able to like trans like be other people. You know what I mean? He can be a different person. And I think Thor is the only one who can tell that really that easily because he knows his brothers. He knows when his brother is up to something. Like in the Dark, was it Ragnarok, where he was like, okay, I wish if I would hug you if you're actually here, and Loki's like, I'm here. It's like he doesn't you can't tell with Loki because he's either someone else or he's disguised or he's, you know what I mean. So, but I like his power of being able to be someone else. You know, almost like that guy from Encanto, Camilo. So I found that interesting. But that song is a bop. We don't talk about Bruno. That's a bop right there. Captain America: The First Avenger. So this is a really good movie as well. Um, the whole pretty serum Captain America was okay, interesting. But I thought that it was cool to see him in a way. I think it's kind of story. I think like Marvel always says like character development is like you are first literally you don't have a lot going for you. You're in a bad shape. You're in a bad place. One of those things, and then eventually you become stronger through your struggles. And so I think also in the same sense, that's pre-serum Captain America. He is bullied. He's kicked around. People think he's small. He can't even join the army. And when they're drafting people, I mean seriously, it's World War II. You can't. I mean what? And so, but eventually he gets someone to take a chance on him, which is the character of Stanley Tucci. And even though Tommy Lee Jones' character is apprehensive, eventually the two reconcile at the end. He's the general. But oh my goodness, he becomes Captain America when he goes under the when he gets the serum, and he becomes this big guy and this huge guy, and but also it isn't just like enough to be big. Like he can be big and that's it. But he's big. Okay, now what? He has to fight, put a team together, get a coalition of people together, and actually help save Bucky and his fellow troops. So that was interesting. And also some sad moments in this film when Bucky died. Not Bucky died. Oh my goodness, it was like you just hold on to him. You're on the train and you're moving and he's just right there and you can't. I found it weird how just so happened that both Bucky and Captain America, best friends for forever, were iced at the same time. They were both happened to be iced. Like, okay, sure, Marvel. Anyway, I found that interesting and kind of like okay, but also, when Tucci's character died, I was like, oh my goodness, that's so sad because this is the only person who believed in Captain America, like, at all. He's the only one to give him a chance. You know, he's a German, but he gave him a chance. And so it kind of went against, oh, all Germans are bad? Well, not this German. So, and the romance between Captain America and Haley is nice. I like how Haley wasn't just like, oh my gosh, once he becomes post serum, it's like, oh my gosh, oh, so hi, Captain America, how are you? My name is Agent Peggy Carter. How are you? No, I mean she kind of respects him in a way for his grit and his might when he's small. I mean no one pays him that much attention when he's that small anyway. But after he becomes big, she doesn't like automatically change. Like, oh my goodness, she's still kind of like on her guard about him, and still she knows he's, one time she caught him kissing someone else. Happens to be the girl from Game of Thrones and the girl from also Tudors, the Tudors. I found that interesting. Peak year, but I found it interesting how that was. So Haley Atwell did a good job, and she's very beautiful. So I could totally believe the two of them together. And then obviously the ending was great when he woke up and it was like I was confused. I was like 1940. Okay, he woke up and he's in 1940. But then I got a little bit sus. I was like, what's going on here? And I don't know how he found out so quickly what's going on, but he goes out, runs into Times Square, And here he is. He is a grown man who is 100 years old, and now he is in the Avengers program. And it's 2011. Wow, I'd be scared for my life. But he had a sense, so that's pretty interesting. I found it interesting how he just happened to know it wasn't 1940 anymore. But anyway, that's pretty cool. Also, if you didn't notice, the post-credit scene is literally the same in the Avengers movie. I literally can't get over that. They didn't even try. They didn't put any effort into making it different. I'm like, seriously? When he's boxing, he's boxing the thing, the little boxing bag, and Fury poaches him. It's the same scene in Avengers. Oh, okay. I don't know how they did that. Speaking of Avengers, our next film is Avengers. Ah, okay. Okay, guys, that scene where they're like, there's two scenes that I love. Famous one that I see everywhere where they're always like, the camera turns around and each Avenger has, Hawkeye holds his arrow, Natasha gets her gun ready, Captain America holds his shield. When they go around the circle, it's like, that's so cool, man, And guess who's a villain? It's Loki again. We should have seen this coming from Thor. But anyway, everyone in the mom has watched this movie, so I'm not gonna even talk much about it. But what? How did those centipede characters get out? Like what? They didn't explain the Chitauri that well to me. I feel like I was still confused by the Chitauri and how Loki even got to them, and also Loki's motives is to become this. I don't know if it's Loki's motives. I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid. Is it to destroy Earth or is it to rule over Earth? I think it's rule over Earth, right? Because one time he tells them to bow down and kneel down, and there's this also this time where he's in Germany and he's saying that stuff. I think his goal is to go ahead and rule over Earth and become the mighty god of mischief, but over Earth. Because you can't do that in Asgard. It's Thor's throne in a way. At this point in time, actually it's Odin's throne, but eventually we pass down to Thor. So Loki knows he doesn't have a chance against these two guys, and so Loki goes ahead and comes to New York and comes to Earth to just rule over everything because he has a huge kind of ego, and I like when Captain America is like he comes to Loki in Germany. It's like the last time I heard someone in Germany talking about, I don't know, last time I heard someone in Germany talking about whatever he's talking about, it turned into a war, or something like that. I thought it was a really nice piece. You know how it is. He's in Nuremberg, boys. Anyway, I liked that movie a lot, and I don't feel like Agent Coulson had to die. I don't. I know he's in Shield. I know he's in Agents of Shield, but I don't feel like he had to die. That was kind of uncalled for. I wanted to still see him because we saw him in Iron Man. We saw him in Thor. Almost like Nick Fury. He's like this connecting branch of the movies, and he's kind of helping them weave together. And so for him to kind of be gone, I guess Nick Fury replaces him in a sense. But I found it he could have stayed. I don't understand the point of I think also him dying makes it more. One Marvel movie they said that him dying made it the Avengers want to avenge, and also it made Shield way more we have to get Loki, we have to destroy this guy because now one of our guys is killed. So if Loki never killed Coulson, maybe it would be a different story. But I mean also the elevator scene where they're hulking in the elevator and there's and all that the whole point, it's been referenced a lot in Endgame, and it's been referenced a lot even in the Loki show, where they go ahead and everything changes. They do a little. So that's kind of interesting. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? When they have a lot going on in that one time. Also, another scene I like is where they have the Hawkeye pointing his arrow at you, and he's getting ready to shoot at Loki. It's Loki's point of view, and everyone is around and surrounding him. That's perfect. I love that. I might like that even more than the one where they have a scene around the walking around and they're doing this, getting ready, to fight. But anyway, that's my thoughts. Next one is Iron Man 3, which I just watched yesterday. I really thought this was a really long movie. Um, it kind of is complicated, but it's kind of once again goes back to the whole thing of like terrorism. I saw like the Mandarin and I thought of like a terrorist. I thought like, okay, this is a guy who is, what they have like these videos, right, where they have these, we're threatening you, we're gonna shoot you, we're gonna execute you. Iron Man was in one of those videos one time. Iron Man one time he was actually the guy who was, they put a bag over him and and they had a video. That's the one Pepper saw, on the computer of the villain. So, but anyway, I thought it was like another reference to like terrorism because it's 2013 and terrorism is still a thing. Okay, it's still in our minds. I feel like nowadays it's not really that big of a deal. I don't know, but it's still on our minds in this point in time. And so, I just found it really interesting. And okay, I thought that there was some kind of filler. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I felt like with when they had Tony go to like Tennessee and with the boy and I think the mom of the deceased. I don't know if all that was needed. Honestly, I just kind of feel like it was filler, to be honest with you. But I did, and I also was confused about the Iron Patriot thing because it's like, okay, why? War Machine got rebranded. War Machine's story still confuses me a lot. But then he gets rebranded as Iron Patriot, so I guess he's like this military vessel now. But in Iron Man 2, the whole idea with these Iron Men of Army, Navy, Marines, whatever, I didn't go over so well. So why are you making an Iron Patriot? Um, I don't understand what the thinking behind that was. And also Pepper got this power at the end of the movie because it's people who have like, I don't know, they're able to like heat their bodies, and it's kind of confusing to explain to someone, but like the way they do it is like the villains have some sort of injection or some sort of, basically bodies were experimented on, and now they're able to have these superpowers and they can survive fires and they can survive heat, extreme heat, and they're able to like melt things and they're able to just do all this stuff. Basically like heat is their vessel, and so Pepper was able to do it too because she was experimented on, and that was like a huge surprise because it came out of nowhere, to be honest. I mean, yeah, she's getting tested on, but like we didn't know that much about her because I think it was a surprise. But the way that it happened, where she saved her Tony's life by, because the villain, the bad guy, was the one played by Guy Pearce. Um, he was gonna kill her, Tony, and then she saved Tony's life. So I thought that was kind of like, like really. The way she did it was kind of like okay. I'd rather her be in an Iron Man suit, like, you know what I mean? Like, it just is not making a lot of sense and connection to me. Um, I was hoping too that Black Widow would be this movie, but she disappeared for some reason. I don't understand why. There's no reason why she couldn't be in this movie. Like, why couldn't she be in this movie? Like seriously. Maybe she was busy making Lucy, which came out the next year, and got her like an Oscar nomination, I think. But I don't understand how. I don't understand. But the movie, it's just like there's a lot going on at once. I think most Iron Man movies are like that. There's a lot going on. That you have to really follow it. But the Mandarin being fake was a good kind of thing. I think it was nice because it like you thought, you thought it was this way. Well, haha, you're wrong. Actually, the Mandarin is just as annoying with as all of us. He knows what's going on, but like he's not actually trying to hurt people or kill people. And we see him later as Trevor Slattery in Shang-Chi. Now, I watched Shang-Chi before I watched Iron Man 3, so I was a little confused when I saw his character. I was like, is this a new character? But then to see him referenced, oh, it's from Iron Man 3, it's a little character from Iron Man 3. A little character, alright, but anyway, I thought it was cool. But I think the movie did a good job. But also, there's one thing that's ridiculous to me. When Iron Man saves all those 13 people from the falling Air Force One that eventually blows up, he saves all of them. I mean, are you kidding me? And they go into the water. I've been to Miami, bro. You're telling me that I lived in Miami for like 6 months. You're telling me you just go ahead and drop people into the Atlantic like that? Bruh. That's, What? concrete is obviously hard. It's not gonna work. But how do you even hold all the people together, even though you're locking them hands and holding feet? That's just not physically possible. The physics don't work out like that. It's not how gravity works. But obviously it's Marvel, so it's just that Iron Man has been so good at being like engineering, scientific. It does a really good job at like trying to like I don't know, like it doesn't make it sound so like a fantasy, like it's out of this world. It makes it sound like this could actually happen. Like someone could legit make an Iron Man suit, like for real. But that other part was like, come on. Also, I love RDJ's haircut in this movie. It's just amazing. Like it's peak haircut. I wish he had that for like the rest of the franchise. Thor: The Dark World. So this movie is the first movie where he has to form an alliance with Loki. Second one is Ragnarok. Call it an alliance if you want to, but I will. Um, the Dark Elves are the villains here, and Malekith is a villain. Um, I found it. I found it like confusing a little bit, to be honest with you. But then it was actually enjoyable. I think I want to say almost. I think there's kind of like too much story with like too much story with like on Earth, like even Jane came to Earth. I don't know what the point of that was. I know she had to get the ether out of her, and that was the whole point of having her come to Earth. After that, though, she didn't serve a purpose. I feel like I don't know, like Jane had the ether in her, and I think it was just as I think the only point of Jane being there was just for her to have the ether in her. Like if she didn't have the ether, if it was someone else had the ether, Thor wouldn't have gone to Earth even. Thor wouldn't have cared. But he still loves Jane in this movie, so who can tell? But let's just say Jane wouldn't have come to Asgard. Let's just say that. Why the Aether chose her still confused me. She was curious. It called her. Is it random? It could have been anyone? I don't understand. Also Loki's mom, Thor's mom, did not have to die that way. But if you watch Loki the show, then you realize what actually happened, because Loki thought he was directing those guys, the elves, to the dark elves, to Thor to attack his brother, when in fact they went to attack his mom, because his mom was protecting Jane, who had the ether in her. So in a way, she wasn't telling her where Jane is. She hid her location. So it was protection, and I think that's the price she paid for it with her death. After that, the Dark Elves were like, we don't need you anymore. If you want to tell us, we don't need you anymore. That was really sad. And obviously that hurt Odin as well. I think Odin didn't recover. Like if you watch Ragnarok, I feel like Odin never really recovered from his wife's death, and I wouldn't expect him to either. I think it just kind of like, even like if his wife was still okay, if his wife was still alive, you think he would have died in Ragnarok? Tell me, he wouldn't have left her. So a lot happens, and I think a lot of things happen that change Thor. His mom dies, it really changes him. Jane is getting hurt, that changes him too. Loki has to become Loki. I think he learns from his mistake of like letting the elves in to kill his mom and leading them, and I think he has to kind of, because of his mom and what happened, he has to like join the alliance because he knows it's kind of partly his fault. Maybe he doesn't know that, but a fraction maybe can acknowledge that, and he has to realize that he has to work for the greater good. Even though he's his brother, even though he has to be with his brother, he has to contribute in a way because it's the right thing to do. And so he kind of pushes his ego to the side for a little bit, which I found interesting. But typical Loki, he didn't die. If you watch The Dark World, he didn't die. He is still alive. He's still kicking. And wow, that's awesome. But yeah, he's still alive. Just like how in the end of what's it called? The end of Thor, the first movie, he also is still alive. Thor, Loki said one time he dies so many times he can't keep count or something like that. So it's funny because he always comes back and he's always, even me, I don't know if Loki's alive. I don't know if he's dead. There's so much going on now. Um, Loki from Endgame is dead. Loki from Infinity War. What? Loki from Endgame is dead. Loki from Avengers is alive because of what happened in Endgame when they had the switch with the Tesseract and all that. Anyway, the movie was good, I think. I would have liked less Earth scenes. I just feel like that was kind of okay. And then the ending bugged me out because I didn't like when they had Jane's contraption and whatever. People think I hate Jane. I don't hate her, but people's contraption or contraption that she made, and the whole poles and all those stuff. Like it's like what? Just take him out the superhero way. Like let Thor take him out with a hammer, the superhero way. Don't have it be like okay, well it's not him. It's actually a theme. But I don't understand the point of like having the science stuff and like I know they're astrophysicists, but like the way they did it, I just feel like it just didn't have to be done. Like I don't know, like I wanted to just see Thor just kick butt his own way, superhero way, not all this stuff with like get the poles ready, get the science, get the radar, the Doppler. Like no, this is a Marvel movie. I want to see some fun. I want to see some kicking ass. Anyway. I remember also the first villain in Iron Man is called Jeff Bridges. I mean, sorry, the one who plays him. So I'm still not sure what the villain's name is. I forgot. But anyway, the next movie is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This is a good movie. I wanted to see. I really wanted to see Captain America in present day. Like the first one was good, but it was set in the past. I think I wanted to change. I wanted to see him like in the present day, obviously, not the 1940s. And I thought it was interesting how the villain was different. It wasn't like a person or an alien. It was actually Shield. It was actually a government organization. And that was pretty interesting to me because I was thinking all along they're going after some sort of bad guy who's really awful and whatnot. But actually, it's Shield. It's like Shield has secrets they're not willing to share with people, and I think they did a good job making it enjoyable. Because if I had known the movie was going to be about exposing Shield, I would have been like, I don't know. I'm not really into those kind of things. But when you watch it, it's good to go in without knowing what's going to happen. Because when you watch it, then you realize, oh my goodness, like there's a lot that is super interesting, and there's a lot here that actually I can unpack and I can really enjoy. I loved how they combined Captain America with Black Widow. Again, we haven't seen her since Iron Man 2. It's been a while. It's been what is it, 4 years? And we also we see Sam Wilson for the first time. They could have done more for Sam Wilson's backstory. They really didn't try at all. But I guess the Falcon the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that's their job to do. But anyway, I had a really good job. Really good job. I had a really good time with this movie. It was just kept me on the edge of my seat. I loved it. As soon as it started, it was great. When they go on the ship and Black Widow was there and Captain America and the rest of the people from Shield who actually are the bad guys. We don't know it yet though. And Black Widow steals this whole like drive from them, and it's like Captain America's like, what did you? That's not part of the plan. But it's because Black Widow is a step ahead of you because Nick told her something that she didn't tell you, didn't tell Captain America. And the whole goal was actually get that thing instead of anything else. So the bad guys weren't the ones who were trying to attack on the ship, but the bad guys actually are the ones we're working with. So I thought that was really interesting. And also the whole thing with Black Widow and Captain America, like when they were on the road and they were like, driving, and when they were like, when they were basically just going ahead and like doing non-superhero stuff, sometimes that was really nice for me. I enjoy those candid moments, and I shipped them so hard. I still wish they were, but Captain America is so hung up on Peggy. Obviously, he visited her in the hospice or the hospital, a nursing home. I don't know which one it was. That was a nice moment. But Captain America really did a weird thing. I think it was this movie where this movie he kisses like her niece, right? He kisses Peggy's niece. The neighbor. Yeah, it's a movie. So it's like you love Peggy, but you kissed her niece. What? How? And then at the end of Endgame, he's gonna go back to Peggy anyway. So Peggy, I'm sorry, but I kissed your niece in the future. Anyway, I was hoping for like a Captain America and Black Widow like romantic relationship. I'm not even sure whose idea it was to have Black Widow and the Hulk together. Like I thought actually it was her and Hawkeye when I first watched Endgame because of how close they seemed. Like this isn't like Budapest. Oh, you and I remember Budapest very differently. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was like a whole different thing, but apparently it was her and Banner. So I didn't see that coming, but I think it's because Hulk has a family and a wife, and someone had to have a family and a wife just because. Why not? It's Marvel. Whatever. Who cares? But the movie was good. I loved also when they had the shit. I mean, everything was so good. Like the shots in Africa. I think it was Lagos, Nigeria. That's where they were, right? Is that Ultron or is that? No, that's Winter Soldier. Sorry, I'm confused. No, wait a minute. That's not Ultron. Uh-oh. I have the wrong movie, don't I? I'm confused. Anyway, Captain America was really good, and I enjoyed the movie a lot. And Al Bradford does a good job playing a bad guy. He doesn't come across as a bad guy, but he does a good job. And also the whole thing of like Nick died, I was like I watched Endgame, I saw him, he's still alive, bro. But like I thought he died. Like this is so awful. Oh my goodness, when he died, I was like, period. But then he's alive. I don't know how they made him like what? Like how do you fake a death when someone is so famous and so important? That was weird. But they did a good job. And also the ending where it's just a great movie. The ending where Black Widow is disguised as the old lady kind of diplomat or the member. That was cool. I loved that. It was like I didn't see that coming at all. I just love how I don't see things coming and it surprises and it's just really it works so well and it works just so great. Guardians of the Galaxy, which is my favorite ragtime team of misfits. Misfits. I loved this. I love this movie a lot. I just really, I just really loved it. It does a good job of referencing the Infinity Stones. I think all Marvel movies did it, but this movie has it really worked hard to mention not Soul Stone. I think it was Reality Stone. Was it Reality or Power Stone? I can't even. Anyway, one of the stones, the purple one. It does a really good job in referencing that a lot and kind of building up how important the Infinity Stones are. Everyone wants them. Everyone wants to have them, and it's just so like, everyone wants to get one here, here, here. So, and it was referenced in the end credits scene of Thor. The reference actually Collector is kind of trying to be like Thanos and collect all the Infinity Stones, and he gets one from the Thor's friends, Sif and the other guy, and so he's like one down, 5 more to go. I was like, whoa, Thanos 2.0 or something here. So everyone is trying to like go for these stones, but like you realize how important they are when you see their powers, and that's what happened in this movie. The power of the stone is incredible, and I thought it was interesting how they all came together in jail, like the whole jail scene is so funny. I mean, this is the most comedic movie ever, and maybe because James Gunn wrote it too and directed it. But the whole time when the whole movie it makes you laugh from start to finish. Like when they're in jail, it's like a whole comedy piece right there. It's like a whole set right there. And I thought it was cool how they met in like a very unlikely circumstances. And when also, I loved when they were like fighting over the ball, the ball that has the stone in it. Um, Quill almost got sacked, he almost got this bag over his head, and then Quill like zapped Gamora, and Rocket and Groot were trying to get the bounty, and all that. That was really funny. And then they all end up in trouble. They all end up like, I don't know, levitating, and they get caught and have to go to jail. And that's where everything gets more funny. And then Drax wants to kill Gamora because Gamora is related to Thanos and works for Ronan the Accuser, and so it's like, and Drax the Destroyer's daughter and wife was killed by Thanos. Not Ronan, I don't think, it's Thanos. So that's what happened, and basically he wants revenge, and so he's like, okay, well, you work for him, and you're his daughter, let me kill you. Because everyone knows Gamora, everyone knows her. She's very infamous, as you can see in the jail scenes. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like, first you want to kill her, but then eventually in the movie, everyone's like, they're friends. They're not like super close. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 does a better job of making them closer and bond more, but they're still like a good ragtag team and bunch. And so I think they did a really good job in this movie, and music is great, obviously. I'm not sure why music is a huge part of this movie series. I know that they have, what's it called? The Peter's mother died from cancer, and if you watched Volume 2, you'll understand more about that. But she gave him a cassette, and I thought that was pretty interesting. But the music thing is kind of like a little bit overplayed. I feel like it's just like, okay, we get it. You love music, You can have a good soundtrack without having to make reference to like music all the time. But I guess it's like a MacGuffin. It's a very important thing to Peter that he was willing to even go all the way back to the jail to get it while his friends waited for him. His friends actually thought he left him because he had the stone with him. So he had to actually do a lot of leaping and bouncing and whatever. But he loves it a lot. So, and also Gamora and Peter. I love it. I just love that ship. It's nice. Gamora is not into it, but hey, it'll happen over time. I like how she's also into it. Like, I like how it takes time. It's almost like reminds me of Haley. I'm sorry, it reminds me of not Bucky, like Captain America and Peggy. Peggy wasn't that into him, but over time she became more into him. I don't know how, because it doesn't really explain that much in Captain America how she became into him, but eventually she does. And so with Gamora, she's not into Peter. I don't think she's even into him at all in the movie, but eventually she becomes more into him in the next one. But it's a really good movie. The makeup is great. It amazes me because it's incredible. I mean, look, you have green makeup, you have the blue makeup, you have, oh my goodness. I wish Groot would not say I am Groot all the time. I wish he would actually speak actual words. I think it's kind of like a downgrade for like, not downgrade. It's kind of like not making. I mean, you have Vin Diesel. Seriously, one of the most famous actors in the most famous franchise. You have him doing just I am Groot all day. Like, seriously, I mean, Paul Bettany did even more work as Jarvis, and he was just never on screen until he came in Ultron. So, I mean, seriously, that's just kind of weird to me how that happens. I honestly just wish he would do more. I wish he would actually write. Because I remember one time they had, when Thor says, oh, you copied my beard. And this is a friend of mine, a tree. And then Groot says, I am Groot. And Steve says, I am Steve Rogers. Groot actually said, are you going to help me out here, Steve? So, honestly, I don't understand why they can't just make him talk. I understand it. Trees have a stiff voice. Groot's species are trees, and they have a very stiff voice box. So they can only say, I am Groot, in different inflections. That is not an excuse, though. It's not an excuse, okay? It's fantasy. You can voice box. What does that matter? I mean, seriously. Anyway, I don't want to get so bad about that. But Rocket, I love Rocket. I love Rocket because he's like a really annoying guy, but he brings so much comic relief to the thing, and he makes stuff just so funny, and he also says stuff that no one else wants to say. Like everyone has like that one friend. I feel like in the movie we all have that one friend, and I feel like every friend is represented by Guardians of the Galaxy. Peter is a friend who is very like sometimes aloof. He doesn't know what's going on. He can be smart at times, but also at times he can be like very like out of it, out of sorts. And he likes to have fun and goof off and just live life, just whatever, carelessly. And Gamora is more serious. She wants to get the job done, like her sister, and she just wants to get stuff over with, and she'll use you, and okay, I'm done here. Okay, good. Let me leave, like stuff like that. And then Rocky is like the one who was like, go ahead and tell you everything that you don't want to hear, and he'll just be honest with you and upfront about it. And you don't want to hear it, you'll cover your ears, and he'll still be talking about whatever it is. And so he's very like direct, and he doesn't care what anyone thinks about him. And then Drax is like someone who always like is just very he's just very like gullible. Not Yeah, he's very gullible. He doesn't even understand metaphors. He doesn't understand, you know, things like that, figurative speech. But he makes stuff like kind of, what's the word? Like he makes stuff not takes stuff so seriously. Like he laughs a lot, and he has a lot of fun, and he just also has a really big heart too. And he's willing to sacrifice a lot for himself, like for his family. He's willing to find whoever killed them, and so he has a lot of like he has a lot. He's strong, but don't let his body fool you, because he actually has a good heart. And Groot is just like the innocent one, the kid. He doesn't talk much. When he does, it's something always interesting. But and maybe it's stupid too sometimes, but he's very like, innocent, childlike, and just a nice person or tree. Age of Ultron. Tony Stark killed Pietro. That's the end. Yes, I'm still mad. I'm still mad 7 years later because, okay, Banner somehow got convinced by Tony to build Ultron. Don't know how. You have the two smartest guys in the universe, in the old Avengers, and they decided to build an AI that could potentially kill people. Whoa! But they didn't know that, obviously. But I'm just saying, like, the way that happened, Tony, I mean, seriously. Anyway, I'm just really upset because of what happened in this movie. The ending was so sad for me. But it was a good movie. I actually enjoyed it, though. You did see a glimpse of, like, okay, Wanda and Pietro. We saw a glimpse of that in Winter Soldier. They're being used. I think it was pretty interesting to see what was going on. But eventually, it was cool to see how they were used more and more. We see more of their powers, and I thought that was really cool. And I'm really upset about Pietro dying because he could have been an Avenger, but Joss Whedon was like, I don't care. So that was really upsetting to me because I think it'd be Quicksilver is dead, and I don't know if he's gonna come back in the X-Men or when X-Men get rebooted, or which is they've been rebooted a lot of times. Let me tell you, they're gonna be rebooted 3 times. It's like crazy, but I don't understand if that's what's going on here. Is like, okay, well, reboot them. Like I don't understand. Like, what? Like, I can't talk anymore. Pietro dies in the end by saving Hawkeye and this little boy's life because the little boy was somehow separated from his mom. That's a bad mom. And so he saved a life when bullets were fired at Hawkeye and the sun. And Hawkeye was able to live. Pietro died. And it was super sad because at one point, there was a fight between. I mean, before Wanda and Pietro were on the side of, were on the side of the Avengers before they knew what Ultron was gonna do this for the world, because that was not expected at all. Before that, they were fighting alongside Ultron and they were helping him, and they were basically going ahead and abetting him and whatnot. And so what happened is that after they found his plans, they switched over. But before that, basically Hawkeye was fighting Wanda and fighting Pietro, and Pietro always escapes because he's super quick, and he always is. Before you even know it, he's gone. And so what's it called? Hawkeye saw him and was like, well, when he finally got him, he was like, what do you say? It was like, didn't see that coming. And then so the last words Pietro said, or you didn't see that coming, did you? It's just so sad. It's just hard being a Marvel fan when your faves die. It's just really hard and difficult. Like I can't even. Oh, I'm really crying. Okay, anyway, but I just found this really sad. I don't know why he died. I don't. That's why I hate Age of Ultron in a way. I hate the end. I love the movie, but I hate the ending. And also, it's so intense. My goodness. Anyway, but I did love the scenes in the bar. Not the bar. Whose house was that anyway? The one where Stanley was at, and they had drinking and they had. It was some sort of party. I love those chill. I don't know. I like when Marvel does like the chill, non-superhero stuff, like just like a regular human chilling out, enjoying life. Like I thought that was really good and just really nice and just whatever. So that was really good for me to see just them being like human, because you never see that a lot. They're always fighting crime but whatnot. But anyway, Age of Ultron started out really well. They were actually they were in Russia, and they were trying to go ahead and find out what's going on, and that's where Wanda and Pietro were housed. They had been experimented on, tested on, so they were basically always on the side of Ultron, because Ultron is a mixture of, as Tony said, Jarvis, AI, Android, Tony, and Bruce, because Tony and Bruce helped create it. And so Jarvis actually, sorry, I'm saying, Vision, Vision is a combination of Jarvis, Ultron, Tony, and Bruce. And so what happened is that Tony and Bruce created Ultron unknowingly, knowing that it would defeat. They were thinking, oh, it's an AI, and AI is the future, and AI is going to change things and help us. But it didn't, and actually it tried destroying Jarvis. That was the first warning sign. It would have destroyed Jarvis in the house. It was like during the party, it's like, uh-oh, this isn't good. And eventually Ultron came to Russia and came to be with Wanda and her brother Pietro. Now they had to build Jarvis. Actually, no. Ultron started building Jarvis, but Jarvis was incomplete. He didn't complete him yet because of all the fighting going on, and because Avengers are trying to get Jarvis back. Eventually they do get Jarvis back, but what happens is that he happens to be a good person, a good android, and so Jarvis basically has a new. He has like a face now and a body and a new identity, and that's how he becomes Vision. And so it's really complicated, but like it just makes sense if you watch it. And so I think Vision is so powerful, and he really is. And if you watched One Vision before, you'll know that too. And so that's how Vision is created. And so now it's like really interesting to see what happens after that. And so eventually they have a battle in Russia, Sokovia, and there's a lot of damage happens, of course, hence Soviet Accords. And there's a lot going on, but Ultron wants to destroy the Earth, and not the Earth, Sokovia, I guess. And the Avengers are trying to save it, and so it's very hard and difficult. But eventually they prevail because Vision is the last one to kill all of. Vision is the last one to kill the Ultron, because Ultron has other androids that are working for him, so he kills the last one before it kills him. But they couldn't save Sokovia because, I mean, they saved it, I guess you could say, but they had to blow it up at some point, time it very well, because it wouldn't. If it didn't blow up by itself, it would have blown up other places too. So it had to be. It was just kind of like light. It was kind of like floating. You know what I mean? It's kind of floating there, and so they had to actually bring an end to it. And so after everyone was transported off the land, off Sokovia, because Fury came, Shield came. They have these pods or whatever. They had this whole ship. Or they're not pods, ship. And so they had them all transported there. And so once that happened, then after that, then um, they could blow up Sokovia. Whew! That's a lot. I love this movie though. It's really good. Obviously, the ending is so sad for me. And then like Wanda's crying for her brother. Also, one thing too is that if Wanda had told him to stay, Pietro to stay, then Pietro could have actually stayed and not been killed, but then Pocket would have been killed. So Wanda, I'm not gonna blame her for it, but I'm just saying she was like, "Do you want me to help you stay and fight the uh stay here with you?" And then she's like, no, just go." And so that's my Russian accent, by the way. And so let's see, what if he actually stayed with her? We'll never know because Marvel is full of possibilities, but that's what happened. Moving on to the next story. Oh, also the ending, by the way, the ending, sorry. Avengers Assemble. But we didn't hear that part. But I love when they do that. They had Sam Wilson come. They had Bucky come. Is Bucky alive? I'm sorry, I'm confused. Bucky's alive. I'm sorry. I didn't cover Bucky at all. Bucky's alive in this movie. Um, Wanda and Vision. Those are the four people who are there, and they're in the next Avengers. So I like how they kind of had that kind of. I'm not gonna say like a change of the guard, but just kind of like this whole like acknowledgement, like okay, now bring in the new recruits. Let's train in new superheroes for the future. I thought that was really nice. Ant-Man. Ant-Man was great, and I absolutely loved Ant-Man. I love the humor too, and I love how also it's kind of just I don't know, it's kind of like laissez-faire. It's kind of just like free going, easy going. Like it feels like the least superhero to me. Maybe because they're in San Francisco, and Ant-Man is a divorced dad who has a daughter, and he sees her sometimes, and he's a thief also who's been in jail and whatnot. It's funny because in the beginning when he was getting beat up, I thought, oh my gosh, he's being beat up. Actually, it was just like we're gonna miss you, buddy, like that kind of thing. Um, Ant-Man was a great movie though. I actually really enjoyed it. And I love also the characters too, like Luis, T.I., and also the other guy, the Russian guy who they play. Um, it's just really nice. I think they did a really good job with the casting in this movie. And I just enjoy how he becomes Ant-Man too. It's like pretty interesting to see how he becomes Ant-Man. The whole thing of like, oh, you're a thief, so now I'm gonna have you steal the Ant-Man costume. And then he finds out it's and in the bathtub he shrinks and whatnot, and there's water, and he has to go through the sewer, and there's a party, and there's heels, and what and there's even like I don't know, some sort of dog or something there. It's just like, oh my goodness, now I don't want this to anymore. But Hank is the one who orchestrated all of this, and so actually it's Hank who basically decided you're gonna have it. You're welcome. You're welcome. And so I thought that was really interesting to see how it all happened and how what this all happened and just I enjoyed the movie a lot, and I think it's really cool to see that. And the villain in this movie was pretty interesting. Reminded me a lot of that first Iron Man movie because it was once again someone who worked for the company, and now it was just someone who's kind of a little too power hungry and a little too jealous. So basically, same as Iron Man, to be honest. And I liked seeing what was going on, and I liked seeing the difference, and I liked enjoying that. When he got caught in the movie at the end, I was like, oh my gosh, he's caught. But eventually, he found a plan to outthink everyone. And I also love when they make things bigger. That's a power that I would use all the time. Like if I had food, I'd make it bigger instantly. Like, I have like my food for like 10 days, you know? So that's really cool. I don't know, Ant has really cool powers, and no one talks about it a lot. But being small and eventually in the second movie you can see being big, I mean, I'd be pretty nice to have that. I don't understand why he doesn't have wings though. I know Wasp has wings. But why not have Ant-Man have wings? Because he has to go on a flying ant. Like, why not just have wings? Like, why not him just put wings on? And now he's okay. Okay, that was a couple years ago. Okay, fine. Now, how about now in the modern day? Why not put wings on that bad boy? It's not gonna. It's gonna only make it better, you know. So I don't understand why they don't do that at all. It's like, but I did enjoy the movie a lot, and also just like seeing Hope's failed relationship with her dad was interesting and kind of new for Marvel. She didn't trust her dad. She didn't feel like he was there for her. Mom is gone obviously, so it's strained. It's kind of like a strained relationship to the point where she even sides with this other guy. You know, she was a deciding vote between Pym or the villain. And I think it was like the name of the company or something like that. And Hope actually chose the villain. Without obviously he wasn't a villain at this point, but you know, and she still worked for him more than her father, and so it's kind of like just like how she chose Hope Van Dyne, her mother's maiden name, over Hope Pym. So it's kind of interesting, but I think it's a really down to earth movie. Like I feel like it's really down to earth, and just it doesn't really like try to complicate things. It's very like really good, you know. I feel like I missed the movie. I'm sorry. I feel like I missed the movie here. Um. Oh no, I didn't miss. I didn't miss anything. Next one. So I love Civil War. Oh my goodness. I love Civil War. Now, I found it interesting how there was no. I found it interesting who sides with who. You know, like who is gonna be with who. And I'm surprised that I mean, who's gonna be? Because the whole thing is Sokovia Accords. Do you want to be put in check? Okay, if you do, then Team Iron Man. Or do you want to just do your own thing without anyone checking out for you? Then if you're not, then I'll take Captain America. I would actually think it'd be the opposite, you know? And I'm surprised that Black Widow of all people actually joined Team Iron Man. Because Black Widow, seriously, I mean, you were under a government program for like your entire life, and now you want to be put in check. She comes across as like so badass and just like so do her own thing that that's not what I thought of her. So I feel like in a way they chose some characters randomly and like said, you go here, you go here. So I found interesting like which characters were on which side. But I loved seeing them, and if you had me to choose, actually I'd choose Team Cap. But when it came to the fight between Captain America and Iron Man, I chose Iron Man. So there we go. I found it interesting though to see the dynamics at play going on here, and the airport scene is brilliant, all of it. I didn't watch the movie before, so when I watched it on YouTube, I actually watched only a fraction of it because it wasn't the whole thing. You have to watch the whole thing to even understand and to really appreciate what's going on. It's an amazing, amazing film, and I just love how that scene, especially at an airport in Germany, they're always in Germany, aren't they? But it's just so good and always just so like realistic. And I just really loved how it was just so like powerful to me. Let's see. Um, Bucky is discovered to have, in a way, killed. Um, what's it called? Iron Man's parents, Maria and Howard Stark, in the 90s when they were on a road trip, when they were in the car. So That was shocking because how in the video, surveillance video, and also how was there surveillance video on the side of in the middle of nowhere and on the road? Tell me how that works. But basically, Bucky pulls over and shoots the car, and comes back with his motorbike, and then he also shoots them, and he chokes. He shoots Howard, and he chokes Maria. So that was really really sad because honestly, how do you deal with that as a person, as a child? And oh my goodness, it was really sad to see. I honestly don't know how Iron Man recovered over that. Oh wait, he didn't. He tried to fight Bucky. Captain America got in the way though, and Captain America became fighting with Iron Man, and so it became this whole huge fight. At one point, the shield was gone. I don't know what's going on. Iron Man ended up losing some power in one of his compartments. Everyone was kind of like everyone was kind of like in a way disadvantaged, but it did a really good job with the movie and just so everyone is disadvantaged in a way, and they're not able to actually really like be able to just succeed, I guess you can say. And so basically it was a complicated theme. And so now you have this situation where the two leaders, I would say the two leaders of the Avengers are facing off in a battle, and it was just so hardcore. And then it ended when, how did it end? It ended with no winner. There was no one who won. And the reason I said I was Team Captain America is because why in the group face off is because why put yourself in the hands of the government? Why have them have control over you? Why have them rule over you? Like that's just not, you know, Sokovia wasn't your fault. It was Ultron's. You were trying to protect it. Same with New York. Because they brought up New York, they brought up also Nigeria. That also wasn't the fault of the Avengers. I'll admit, Wanda did have a huge effect when she, what's it called? She took this kind of, she kind of bombed a building in a way. So I agree that was definitely something that was not good. But at the same time, it was like, it wasn't like she was trying to hurt anyone. She was trying to protect the Avengers. It's a whole different thing. And also kill the bad guys. And then for New York, Loki was going to destroy everything if he wasn't going to be ruler. He had Chitauri, he had aliens, he was going to wreak havoc everywhere. So was it their fault or was it Loki's fault? And then now, present day, Sokovia, that's Ultron. It's all Ultron. If it wasn't for Avengers, all the Sokovia people would be dead. So I call that, what do you call that? It's called saving people and saving lives. That's what I think it is. Anyway, I had a really good time watching that movie, but I really sided with Captain America's team because I didn't feel like it was fair for them to just go ahead and be like, government, I give you everything. I'm gonna give my whole life and my whole, no, that's not fair. It's the point is to just go ahead and be mindful and whatnot. And just to not give yourself all your rights, responsibilities up to them because they're gonna misuse you anyway. Period. Now, I was Team Iron Man though when it became a Cap and Iron Man facing off because Iron Man is right. If someone killed my parents and they're right in front of me, it doesn't matter if you were on drugs or if you were drunk, because I know that Bucky wasn't in charge. We saw that in Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier, just a few words get him agitated, and he gets back in this mode of like, okay, I'm the Winter Soldier. The guy tells him, "Are you ready?" He said, "Yes." "What are my commands?" You know, like just like that. And so in a way, he's very much unable to recognize right from wrong, but he's still the one who killed them. I know all you Cap fans will tell me, and all you Bucky fans will be like, he didn't have control, he didn't have control. Yeah, I know, but he didn't. He maybe even doesn't even remember it. Same thing when it came to Black Panther and Captain America. Sorry, Black Panther. His father, the King of Wakanda, he was like, I don't remember killing your dad. Yeah, of course you don't remember killing him, but you did it, didn't you? Well, in that case, it actually didn't kill him. It was actually someone else who killed him, who dressed up as Bucky. But it was still similar to like, I don't know, like, if someone kills someone and they don't know it, then who's responsible? Is it Bucky's? You could say it's not Bucky, it's a person who did that to Bucky. So the bad guy from Winter Soldier, the one pulling all the strings around Bucky, then he's the one I could say who was responsible. The one who eventually was put back into he was put back into what's it called? Like a jail, not jail, like this whole cell you can't get out of, the one that Bucky was in before. Because it's not Bucky's fault now, it's this guy's fault. Because he's telling Bucky what to do, and he's telling Bucky his orders, and, December 1990, whatever. That's what he's telling him, stuff like that. So that's kind of, like, really bad. But anyway, now I don't even know if I'm Team Iron Man anymore. Wow. Anyway, but Winter Soldier really built it up to Civil War. Age of Ultron really built up to Civil War. So everything kind of contributes. So if you watch Civil War, watch Ultron. You have to watch Ultron. There's just no way around it. You'll be so confused. And make sure you also watch Winter Soldier, because you'll be also very confused. You'll be like, how did Bucky get here? What's going on? Who's Sam? Then we have new characters. We have the new character of Black Panther. That was interesting to see. And actually, some characters from Black Panther are there too. Martin Lawrence. Was it Martin Fishburne? Sorry, 1 second. There's this guy named Martin. I forgot his name. But anyway, what happened is that he's actually one of the government agents, and he was in Winter Soldier, and then he was also in Black Panther. And then I had another guy too from Black Panther, Andy Serkis, and he actually he's voiced Gollum. He's been Planet of the Apes. He directed Men Let There Be Carnage, and so actually he is the one who got his arm cut off by Ultron, because he didn't do what Ultron said. He questioned Ultron, and so he also was in Age of Ultron, and then he's in Black Panther. So it's kind of interesting. I like a lot of Black Panther characters show up again. Black Panther himself is introduced simply first as the king, the prince, I guess you could say, of Wakanda, the son of the king, until later we find out. Because if you didn't know Black Panther before, you would say he's just a prince. He's just the son of who is this guy? But actually, he is the one who is the Black Panther. And I like how they did that surprise. Like, okay, who is this? Takes the mask off. What? And then we also have Spider-Man for the first time. As someone who watched Spider-Man films before I watched actually Civil War, they could have done better. Even Black Panther, they could have done better too. But I think they did a good job with what they had. Especially since Black Panther's dad was killed, and so they had to really build up on that. And because of what happened, he had a really good motive to kill Bucky, which is what happens. That's why Black Panther joined Team Iron Man. He was really angry at Bucky, just like Iron Man was angry at Bucky, because in a way, they both thought their dads were killed by Bucky. So almost Iron Man became like the anti-Bucky team, but Spider-Man, he was on Team Iron Man as well. He didn't have anything against Bucky, I don't think. But what happened is that they could have just done a little better job with trying to introduce him. I don't know. They kind of just the way they had him come in the movie is just kind of like it felt like it was out of place to me. Like they could have just done him better. They could have put more effort into it and made it like, oh my goodness, he is this Spider-Man. Like I didn't get that whole thing, like that whole shock, like Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man. It was kind of just like he's Spider-Man, like that. You know what I mean? Like they could have done more in that regard. But anyway, what can you say? I do want to say though, I really enjoyed this movie a lot, and it was really good, and probably one of my favorite movies. Like I want to watch it again and again and again. I think I would say maybe it would come after Winter Soldier, yeah. So now in part 2, I'll be covering Doctor Strange and the next phase 3 of movies. So we'll see you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye.